Hi guys, I'm Colby Cons and welcome back to Pragmatic Politics. We are talking about more of the debate stuff between Biden and Trump and another very significant moment of last night's debate. And this came at the end, and this basically, to most Americans, came off as crazy, lunatic, psychotic rambling by Donald Trump, which was most of the debate, to be fair. But I just wanted to go through this part. I found it very significant, very important, just as important as when Trump was refusing to condemn white supremacists. I think this was almost as important. So let's go to the video.
Mr. President, 2 minutes.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at...
What do you mean there's been no transition? You are president. You've been president for the last 3.5 years. Clearly there was a transition.
Crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you.
Just for all you normal Americans out there who are wondering what the hell Donald Trump is rambling on about, this is all crazy conspiracy QAnon signaling. He is signaling to these crazy conspiracy theories. That's what the General Flynn thing is. That's what the Logan Act is, which, by the way, the Logan Act was created in 1799. Literally has nothing to do with Biden. It was over 220 years ago that the Logan Act was created. So him saying that he caught Biden having to do with... The guy's a lunatic. He literally comes off as a psychotic, crazy person right now talking about this stuff. And the average American will think that this is crazy, but Trump is too caught up in the Fox News OAN conspiracy theory network that he thinks a large part of his base will know what he's talking about. But no, this is a very small part of his base, the QAnon conspiracy theorists that are going nuts. They think that Donald Trump is here to free the world from sex traffickers and that he's doing all of this just because Hillary Clinton and a bunch of powerful people are human sex traffickers, and Donald Trump is the messiah here to save the earth from that. That's what all this is about. It's absolutely crazy, and I can't believe he's doing this on the stage. To most Americans, this is going to come off as absolutely lunatic rambling, and he's going for it.
You, in a sense, and President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it, too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket.
He's referencing some crazy thing, like nine ballots were found in a trash can. Even Ben Shapiro tweeted out saying this is not a big deal at all. There was no evidence of fraud or any wrongdoing. There's literally just 9 random ballots found in the trash, and Trump's trying to turn that and spin that into this giant election fraud conspiracy. The whole dumping ballots into the river was proven to be completely false. It's not true. That never happened. But he's got to signal. He's got to lie every second he can. He's got to muddy the waters. There was never any ballots dumped in rivers. There was 9 ballots found in a trash can with no evidence of any wrongdoing. Even his own pundits agree with that.
Being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be...
He keeps bringing that up. It doesn't matter how many ballots you receive in the mail. You can only vote once. If you fill out multiple ballots and send them in, they're going to get the first one and be like, all right, this guy with this name at this address voted for this guy. Oh, what? We just got another ballot. Same name, same address. That's blatant election fraud. You'll be arrested. You will be caught for that. You will go to jail for doing that. That is illegal. Just because you're sent 2 ballots doesn't mean you automatically for free get to vote twice. Is that what Trump thinks? Does he think that, like, if you get multiple ballots, you can vote twice? And it's perfectly fine because that's what he's trying to say.
Be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know
You're
what?
so happy.
We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other
Now he's
places.
just saying random
They're not
shit
losing
lying.
2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%.
30 and 40% of ballots have not been lost. This is all lies, just so you guys know. All fake. He's just saying, making this up.
It's a fraud, and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say you have to have your ballot in by November 10th? November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have.
Just to clarify, you cannot vote a week later than the election. Your vote by mail ballot has to have the stamp that it was received before November 3rd. They're just saying if ballots are coming in late, but they were mailed in before November 3rd, they are accepting them until November 10th. So it's just to accommodate the slow pace of mail and the USPS system having to deal with 80 million, 100 million mail-in ballots. This is normal. This is completely, how can you think? Like, every single mail is just instantly transported? Like, Trump's a fucking idiot.
Major states with that.
Sir?
All run by Democrats.
He's using this as an example. He's saying this, he's setting this up so that on November 3rd, he can say he won, and then when all these Democrat and Biden votes come in later on, down the week or so, he's going to claim it's fraud. He's literally setting this up. He's already saying that's going to happen, and he's going to attempt a coup and say that it was a fraudulent election, that's why he lost, and he's not going to give up power. And he admits that he's not going to give up power. Like, he's admitted it several times. He's not going to accept the results of the election if he doesn't like the results.
2 minutes is 2 minutes.
All run by Democrats. It's
President
a
Trump.
It's a rigged election.
You're going to
He's already saying it's a rigged election. Like,
you have been
election hasn't even
talking
happened
for
yet. He's
months
saying
that
it's rigged.
Mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I don't think.
Yeah, he's already saying he's not going to accept the results. He's going to stack the Supreme Court and make them declare him the victor, even though there is no fraud. He's already saying he's going to do it. He's literally telling us his game plan. He's telling the world, I'm not going to accept the results of the election. It's a rigged election. It's all filled with fraud. He, of course, has no evidence for any of this. There is no evidence for any of this. But his voters are just like sucking at the teat of the Donald Trump propaganda. They will believe anything he says. They do not care. They don't care if it's rigged. If it was rigged to Donald Trump, they don't care. All they care about is winning. And that's what they're going to try and do.
I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so. Because what's happening is incredible. I read today where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were invalidated. They take them, we don't like them, we don't like them.
But what are you
throw
going to
them
do
out
about
left.
That's the law. This isn't just like... It is very strict rules. When you fill out a ballot, you have to sign your name correctly. You have to fill out all the information correctly for it to count. If you get a ballot that is literally just like a picture of a penis drawn on it, they just toss it out. If you write in the SpongeBob SquarePants and make a fake signature, it gets tossed out. That happens every year in every single election. This is how it works. They're not just tossing out Trump ballots. They're tossing out ballots that do not follow the rules and do not meet the standards that are in the guidelines of the election. That's what happens. Thousands of ballots a year are sent in as joke ballots. People do that. They mail in like a picture of a penis or boobs or something, and they send it in, and those ballots get tossed out. That's what happens.
If there are millions of ballots going out
What
right
you
now,
do
what
is
are
you
gonna
go
do?
and vote. You do a solicited ballot,
No,
and that's
I
okay,
know
or
your
you go and
complaint.
vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people
You go and vote. you go and
No,
vote
but what
like
I'm
they
saying is, what are
like
you
they
gonna do
used
about
to
the
in
fact
the
that
old.
millions of people?
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending. They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia. Mailmen selling the ballots. They're
This is
being
all
sold.
false. This
They're
is
being
proven
dumped
false.
in rivers. This is a horrible thing for
Both
our
of those
country.
things.
This is not.
Mailmen selling ballots, dumped in rivers, proven false. This is just conspiracy theorist stuff that he's signaling to. Again, no evidence of this being true, but he's got to signal to it. He's got to muddy the waters. Classic Trump, just lying.
Not,
there is no.
this is not
evidence of
going to
that.
end well.
There is
Okay.
no
This
evidence
is
of that.
not going
Vice
to
President
end well.
Biden.
5 states
fact,
have had
go ahead,
mail-in
sir.
ballots for the last decade or more. 5, including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit the ballot. It's sent to you. It's sent to your home. What they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by the time, by Election Day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid
Exactly
of
what I
counting
said.
the votes because he
You're
knows what the
wrong.
outcome
You're
will be.
wrong.
No, I want to continue with you on
I
this,
love
Vice
counting the
President
votes.
Biden.
Chris,
because
he's so wrong when he makes
in
a
fact,
statement
no,
like that.
excuse me, Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there
Exactly
is some
what I
other
was saying, that
irregularity,
happens.
or they
That can
missed
be fraud.
the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court, with a Justice Barrett, will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, Chris, when you
I
have
a final-
80 million ballots
Gentlemen, I have a final
sending
question.
and swamping the system, you know it can't be done. You know it can't, and already
All
there's
right,
been
so now-
fraud,
Mail service
deception.
Guess what? Donald Trump, it's your job. You're the president. You run the USPS. Your job is supposed to make it so that they are able to handle this amount of ballots. We are in a global pandemic. Your job was to make sure that we can handle the amount of votes. So if they can't handle it, it's your own fault.
Wait a minute, gentlemen.
I'm sorry, it's true.
The question is, in 8
ballots.
states, we can keep talking. In 8 states,
disgrace.
election workers are prohibited, currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and
Yes.
flatten them until Election Day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks.
Could be months.
Until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest, and will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you go first.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it.
What?
As you know,
That's illegal. Just so you guys know, it is illegal to do that. It's called election intimidation or election interference. You cannot go in and just watch people and stand there and intimidate people as they're voting. That's illegal. You will get arrested. Nevada already came out and said after this debate that they will arrest and prosecute anyone who tries to do this. And Trump is actively telling people to break the law. The only people who are allowed to be poll watchers are those who are hired to do so. It is an actual job. It's a position in the elections. You can work for the poll or you can be a poll watcher. You have to be hired to do this, okay? You can't just show up to polls and watch people vote and intimidate them. That's illegal. You will be prosecuted for that. And guess who the first poll watchers ever were? The KKK. That's right. Way back in the civil rights era, the KKK were poll watchers, and they committed election intimidation and tried to scare off black people from voting or white people from voting in the interest of black people. The very first poll watchers were the KKK, and here's Donald Trump trying to bring back these poll watchers for him, which is illegal. Again, it's illegal. It's so crazy to me. He's actively telling people to break the law right now, just like he broke the law when he told people to vote twice in North Carolina. Like,
today there was a big problem in Philadelphia. They went in to watch. They're called poll watchers. A very safe, very nice thing.
Very
they
safe.
Were thrown
KKK,
out. They weren't
very
allowed
safe.
to watch. You know why?
You want to know why these people were thrown out? It's because they were wearing Trump paraphernalia, holding Trump signs, yelling Trump. It is illegal to go to a poll with any election paraphernalia on. You cannot wear a Trump shirt and go to the polls and vote for Trump. That's illegal. You will get tossed out and asked to come back without that stuff. That's why these people in Philadelphia were tossed out, because they came up to commit election intimidation and watch the polls, and they were wearing Trump stuff, holding Trump signs. That's why they got tossed out, and he's lying right now.
Why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia. Bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with it.
Where are you going to see tens of thousands of ballots manipulated? What do you think these poll watchers are going to see? They're going to show up to the polls and like people are just going to be like stuffing ballots into boxes or ripping them open and changing the names and putting them back in? Like, what the hell does he think is going to happen? Like, is that what these poll watchers are going to see? That's what happens in polling places? Like, absolutely crazy.
With that. And I'll tell you
what does that
from
mean,
a common sense,
does that mean you're going to tell your people to take to the street?
It means you have a fraudulent election. You're
And what are
sending
you
out
gonna do?
80 million
And what would you
ballots.
do about that?
They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number
It's
one.
your job to
Number
make
two,
them equipped.
They cheat. Hey, they found
cheats?
ballots in a waste paper basket.
Again,
3 days
again,
ago,
that was
and they
nothing.
All had
It was
the name
9
military ballots. They were military. They
9
all
ballots.
had the name Trump on them.
And there was
Vice
no
President
evidence of
that's
anything
good?
from
Vice
him.
President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm while the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes, and here's the deal. They count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until Election Day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's what's going to happen. Why was it not? Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all that there is fraud related to mail-in ballots, that somehow it's a fraudulent process.
It's already been established. Take a
well,
look at Carolyn Maloney's race.
I asked you had an opportunity to respond.
Carolyn Maloney.
Go ahead.
Trump's
They have
just
no
making
idea
shit
what
up right
President
now.
Biden, go ahead.
Lying out
He
of
has
his
no
ass.
idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know
And here's
why?
Biden.
Because
Biden is saying he's going to accept the results of the election. He's going to, if Trump wins, he'll accept it. And if Biden wins, he'll accept it. Trump never, in multiple interviews, multiple debates, has said he will not accept the results of the election if he does not like the results. So if he loses, he's saying he will not accept it no matter what. Even if there's no fraud, nothing for any evidence that any manipulation or fraud has happened, Trump said he will not accept the results if he does not like the results. There's multiple videos that you can look that up.
All the ballots are
Here's
counted,
Biden
all the
saying
votes are
he
counted.
will accept it.
That'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it.
If you see any conservative saying Biden and Harris are going to burn down cities if they don't win, that they're not going to accept the results, they're fucking lying, because here he is saying he's going to accept it.
And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome. And I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to see an honest ballot cut.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the
I
end
wanna
of
see
this
an
debate?
honest ballot.
And that was the end of the debate. And it was a shit show. Total disaster debate. Trump came off like a freaking toddler, interrupting every 2 seconds, doing petty insults, saying Biden is dumb and graduated at the bottom of his class for no, like, it's crazy. Like, bringing up his son's cocaine addiction. Like, how are you making fun of someone for their kids having a drug problem? Like, that is despicable. That's a disgusting act that someone do that. So many families, so many parents, so many spouses suffer and feel the effects of drug addiction, and It is a horrible thing and something that our country really needs help with. And Trump is making fun of Biden for having a son that struggled with drug addiction. It's fucking despicable, okay? First of all. Second of all, Trump already saying the election is going to be fraudulent, it's rigged, and he's not going to accept the results. Third, he's telling people to break the law and commit electoral intimidation at the polls by being poll watchers. So he's actively encouraging his base to commit felonies. In the past, he has actively committed his base to commit felonies by voting multiple times. And he refused to denounce white supremacists, and instead he signaled and told a far-right paramilitary group to stand by. Like, this debate was awful in every single term for Trump. I don't know how people think he can do well. All he did was show himself to be a bully, a toddler, be a complete lunatic. It is terrible. And Biden, he didn't have that great of a debate, all right? He didn't look that good. He was slow. But guess what? He exceeded my expectations for Biden are fucking down here. And he was slightly above him. And that's all we needed. Like, all we needed was Biden to sit there and form coherent and complete sentences and show that he's still mentally sharp, which he did, okay? That's all we needed. You have a toddler lunatic on one side, and you have an old guy who has a stutter on the other side. Fascist, centrist. Someone who signals to conspiracy theorists and white supremacists and far-right paramilitary groups, and just a normal white dude with corporate interests. It's clearly which one's better. It's so clear. I hope everyone can see this. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning into this video. I can't wait till the next debate. I can't wait to watch Harris versus Pence. And I'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.